Today on DNVR Buffs Live, is Drelon Miller on the verge of superstardom? We get to that and much, much more. Let's get it.
Buff Nation.
Let's go.
Squad. Come to you live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. It's DNVR Buffs Live. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Practice number 10 today. We're already 2/3 of the way through spring football.
Crazy.
Literally a week from Saturday is the spring game.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Time is a flying.
We learned.
Then it's like summer weather.
Literally.
Yeah. It's nice out here today, but a little cloudy. But can't complain too much. I think we're in the 70s, so.
I need some summer weather. Next Saturday. Day of spring game. That's
I
what
know.
I need.
This Saturday is like 82.
Yes, right. Beautiful. Need it.
Copy and paste.
For real.
Please.
We're begging.
Today on the show, Shedeur Sanders to visit the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, the buzz between him and the Saints picking up even more. We'll check out Mel Kiper's latest mock draft. Brody McCorder visited Colorado, one of the top quarterbacks in this year's recruiting class. 2 cornerbacks to keep an eye on in the transfer portal. And then what happened today at practice, we spoke to Drelon Miller, but we'll start today with Coach Phillips. I think we learned quite a bit about this wide receiving core. Where a lot of these guys stand, where Coach Phillips sees them. And as we'll get into, I don't think we've really talked about this aspect too much. This is going to be a really different year for Coach J. Phil.
Yeah.
Losing your top 4 guys.
Yeah, I mean, that was what he started with, right? He was like, it's going to be different without a Travis Hunter and a LaJohntay Wester and a Jimmy Horn Jr. and a Will Sheppard. But he, at least what we heard from him today, he feels really confident in that receiver group in terms of being able to pick up some of that production, left behind from a few of those guys in particular. And I've said this before, I just love hearing from J. Phil up at the podium. I love his authenticity, how real he keeps it, how he does not mince words. A lot of times you get coaches, you hear the old adage coach speak, right? Where they're just trying not to say anything that could potentially backfire on them or one of their players. Coach J. Phil, he don't care about that. You feel me? He gonna say what's on his mind and what he feels. And I just love and appreciate that about Coach Jason Phillips. Chat. Wilding today already.
I already saw this account in the Broncos chat this morning.
Oh, God.
Hey, that's hilarious.
That's wild.
It was a wild Bronco show because it actually started with Buffs talk.
Yeah,
We were talking about Sean Payton and the crew coming up to Pro Day.
Yeah.
And then it turned into Nuggets talk for a few minutes.
And then eyebrow talk.
We had Baldy on. It was a good show.
Did you guys talk about the Broncos trading up for Travis?
No, we talked about that yesterday. I made a lot of people mad.
They,
Why?
I'm not even.
Because I said I would trade 3 first-round picks. Well, 2 additional, but including this one.
Sure.
So you swap and then 2 additional
2.
for Travis. That's basically like only having to trade 1 first-round pick because you're getting 2 first-round picks when you pick Travis.
True.
When you put it like that.
See? That's why they call me the spin doctor.
I'm dead.
All right, let's get into Coach Phillips. Just starting general overview of the room, what he's expecting out of them, what's going to be different this season for him. Here he is.
Feels different. I mean, I'm missing Jimmy Horn, LaJohntay Wester, Will Sheppard, and Travis Hunter. So yeah, it's extremely different. But what I'm pleased about is how the guys are accepting the responsibility of who's next. And so that's encouraging to see the guys that are here, the guys that we brought in, the freshmen from last year. It's refreshing to have Cam back, just to kind of see him move around a little bit. Obviously, Omarion has been able to do some things the last couple of days, so just kind of get him back to where he was before he got injured. I sang with Cam, get him back to where he was before he got injured. But I'm excited because the attitude in the room has been great. No one in that room is basically taking a position as to it's going to be me, but they're working to establish themselves as that guy.
Mentioned Cam, obviously. We'll get to him, I'm sure, a lot more. But, yeah, I mean, those guys obviously last year kind of set the standard, and now you're just hoping that the guys under them last year have, were able to take in enough of that standard and really just apply it to themselves so that they can do that moving forward, because this is a pretty young wide receiver room.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I can't go any further of watching these Coach Phillips clips without stating that, we have a lot of people who listen to our show. Sometimes they're in the building. If you are in the equipment room listening to this right now, there's nothing I wouldn't do to have one of those shirts that Coach Phil is wearing with the metallic gold buffalo.
Fire.
They were wearing them at last year's spring game, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is like a preview of what's going to be available to the public come fall.
Yeah.
Still hasn't happened. So please, I'll pay good money for one of those.
Ditto. I second that. But no, I love that J. Phil there, unprompted. He mentions Cam. I think that was the first name out of his mouth, which I think is pretty telling. And obviously he goes on a little bit to talk about Cam and just his speed, right? Is something that this team desperately needs. That's what Coach J. Phil said. His speed on the perimeter is something that they need to utilize, because it is he's a fast dude on the team. And when you're the fast guy on the team and you have, ball tracking skills and the ability to make people miss the way that Cam Mikell can, you have to be a part of this offense. And obviously he pretty much lost his entire true freshman season because of the injury and whatnot. But I really like that he's making an impact here, early on this spring. And same with Omarion coming back from a major injury. We've seen, a couple clips surface of him doing Omarion Miller things. But I also like what Coach J. Phil said about him, just what he needs to do. It's get in the weight room, continuing to work on your body and make sure that you can make it through a full season healthy, which is something that, he wasn't able to do obviously last year.
I was talking to a certified ball knower at Pro Day, who will remain anonymous.
Okay.
And they were saying to me, imagine a Wildcat with Drelon taking the snap, Cam next to him, and then Quentin Gibson running the jet.
Please.
How could you possibly stop that?
It's too much speed, too much explosiveness, too much misdirection.
Yes.
I just hope that Pat Shermer and those guys have the same thought, honestly. On Cam, Coach Phillips mentioned, the dude missed a lot of time. Like, we don't really think about it, but it was before the season he had that injury, right? He's out. And then he had surgery, I don't know, like midway through the season, towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
He was ready to go for spring football, but, as a true freshman or a freshman going into your sophomore year at that point, that's just like valuable time, especially on the field. Being able to work with Shedeur, he missed that opportunity. But Coach Phillips, obviously he mentions his speed, but it sounds like Cam's really just coming along, understanding his role, picking up the playbook, and really just kind of picking up where he left off. So Coach J. Phil was really optimistic on Cam Mikell, and a lot of people are in the program.
His ceiling is so unbelievably high. And it's classic thing where like a guy comes in and doesn't contribute right away. It's just easy for people to kind of forget about him. I don't really think that's happening here. But he could legitimately be a game-changing player. And his build, like he's fast, but he's not small.
Correct.
And I think that's lost on some people. It's like he's also just has the build to be like a superstar.
Yep. All right, still a lot to get to. Here's Coach J. Phil on Omarion Miller, obviously just returned to the field. And as Scott said, he mentioned some weight room stuff to keep him up in his conditioning. But here's what Coach J. Phil had to say about Omarion Miller.
Just get in the weight room with Coach Swayze and fall in love with the process in there, because that will help him stay on the field and play more consistent for us on the football field. I think he's done a good job of that. I think Coach Swayze and his staff has done a good job of embracing that with him, because we had a conversation when he first got here. He's my meter in the room. So if I see him taking strides and bettering himself, it just lets me know that everybody else in the room is going to be that much better. But he's my barometer at this point.
The barometer.
Who's that?
Omarion.
Nice. That's huge.
And he's only practiced maybe, 2-3 days at this point?
Right.
That's really big. And it's something that we've talked about as like a potential, I know we used this already for Drelon, but catalyst of this team getting to its potential is like Omarion feeling and accepting the role as a leader. Yep. Another guy who's going to be his 3rd year in the program.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
It is crazy because he feels so young, but he's now an upperclassman to these guys. He's now the guy who had the most up close and personal seats to Travis Hunter in the standard and Shedeur Sanders in the standard. And I almost feel bad referencing this because I feel like I've said it a few times and I don't want it to be part of his reputation. But I'll never forget Travis Hunter on his podcast talking about, shortly after O had his breakout game, like, well, why isn't he playing more?
Yeah.
Why isn't he getting more opportunities? And he said something along the lines of like, he needs to mature. And so to see that now O has matured to the point where Coach Phil is looking at him as the barometer should set off like all the alarms of
positive alarms.
Yes, all the alarms of like, oh, this could get scary.
Yeah,
and I just love that's a great point, RK. And I just love that Coach Phil brings up the strength and conditioning part of it with Coach Swayze, because the only thing that has stopped Omarion Miller from becoming who we know he can be is just being on the field. And obviously, the injury part was kind of a freak injury, this past year. But if he can just stay on the field and put 12 games of tape together, I mean, it's an NFL player.
Yeah.
You imagine his production over, 12 games when he is the number 1, number 2 option in the passing game. He is going to be on NFL radars if he isn't already. And, seeing him on Friday, at the pro day, just in, his regular street clothes, bro looked like he taking the direction from Coach Swayze very seriously in terms of his build and the weight room and whatnot. So this is, like you said, a catalyst. If Omarion Miller has a season that we think he's capable of, it's up and stuck for him for sure.
And it opens up everything for Drelon to, expand his role, which we'll obviously get to later in the show. And then we'll get to the freshmen too. But, guys like Quentin Gibson, Quanell, if you have that one guy out there who can kind of hold it down, will draw the number 1 corner, will draw all the coverage, that just makes it so much easier for everyone else, as we saw with Travis the last 2 years.
It's an interesting question from Carlton. It says, do you guys think an injury can make you mature?
Absolutely.
100%.
And I think it might be one of the biggest blessings in disguise when you do have to sit on the sideline for a little while, especially if you are invested. There's a lot of guys, and I've seen it in the NFL especially, you get injured, they basically just fly home, see you guys when I'm healthy. If you are someone, and it's different in college, you don't have that, luxury, I guess. But if you're a guy who's going to say, okay, I now have a year that I can't really do anything physically, so I'm just going to learn mentally, it can really boost you to new levels. And maturity, I think, for sure, when you zoom out a little bit, all it takes is, and I'm sure people have experienced this in their job or their, life in one way or another. Sometimes you zoom out a little bit and you see someone else acting immature.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, what a bad look.
Yeah.
And you're like, I got to make sure that I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
Or, you just start to see things. You're like, oh, okay. The guy who watches the most film has the most success on Saturdays, Travis Hunter. Just little things like that. Sometimes you're too close and you're in it.
Yeah.
And you're just worried about the next rep. You don't get to see it.
Yeah. And just what you said about that perspective thing too, like it makes you just value the time that you had on the field, all the times, all the practices you took for granted. Like it forces you to look back and go, oh wow, like I haven't really been fulfilling my full potential to this point. So, I mean, it's obviously terrible to see Omarion go down like he did versus K-State, but I think in the long run, this could pay off dividends for sure.
God, that game still stings for me. That's my new Stanford.
We have a chance to get him back, bro.
I hate too that clip resurfaces quite a bit because people
Such a good throw.
right,
know,
yeah,
bro.
because they do it like look at this throw from Shedeur, and it's just like
And then everyone's like in the comments is like, oh yeah, like good throw, all that, and it's all the Buffs fans like, don't please
Stop
like don't
posting this.
Please don't post this. And you know, just to speak to that throw, like people don't realize how much they needed it in that game. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, that was a massive play.
it was like it was one of those games where you need everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Shedeur was just like rabbit out of the hatting his way through that
For
game.
real.
Yep. All right, let's take our first break. Still a lot to get to from practice today from Coach Phillips and Drelon Miller. Shout out to our friends over at Bet365. National Championship's over. We're kind of hitting that, summer lull of sports, but it's about to pick up for the NBA and the NHL.
Yep.
NBA is getting spicy, especially for the Nuggets right now.
Surely
Do we
is.
have next head coach odds for the Nuggets yet, do you think?
No, but I would guess it would be the top would be David Adelman, who's the interim head coach.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure those will pop up soon, but
Phil Jackson out of retirement.
it'd be crazy. If you think the Nuggets can rebound and go on a run, make sure you hit up our friends over at Bet365. Where right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the promo code DNVR365, deposit $10, then place a bet of $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Use these on anything on the app. Spreads, totals, player props, futures, SGPs, and a whole lot more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you know what automaker offers more low and zero emission of vehicles combined than any other automaker?
Sounds like Toyota to
I could
me.
take a wild guess, bro.
Dang, you guys are smart. It is Toyota. Toyota, not only comfortable, not only the best features, not only the best customer service when you go to a front range Toyota store, but also looking out for the environment, coming up with new and innovative ways for us to drive and really take care of Mother Nature. So shout out to Toyota for
Shout out Mother
everything that
Nature.
they do. Also, shout out to Mother Nature. If you are looking for a car that could reduce your carbon footprint, head over to a front range Toyota store at a location near you. That's AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, an official partner of the Colorado Buffaloes and the official vehicle of DNVR. Toyota, let's go places.
Let's go.
All right, here is Isaiah Hardge has been one of the stories of spring football so far. Coach Prime literally went out of his way to mention him at the end of a press conference earlier in spring football. So here's Coach Phillips on Isaiah Hardge, how he's grown and potential impact for this year.
There's a reason why he was in a gray jersey. I mean, because that kid is ultra talented. He can play both sides of the ball. He has a dedication to the game. He's committed to football. He loves the process. You know, a lot of guys like the end result, but nobody likes the process. But he embraces the process and he does the work. And he's somebody that the more he's with us, the better he gets. You know, he improves every single day. So I'm excited about him and his development. I do see him as a guy that can replace some of that production on the inside between LaJohntay and Jimmy. So I'm excited about Isaiah and looking forward to his development moving forward.
We talked a lot about Drelon playing in the slot. Some other guys can potentially. They play a game tomorrow. It's Isaiah Hardge, it seems like.
He has got to be one of the biggest winners of this entire spring so far. I mean, based on just what Coach Prime told us a couple weeks ago, again, I'm prompted saying that Isaiah Hardge is going to do some special things this year, that he's really coming into his own in the slot. And that's why I wanted to ask Coach Phil, about Isaiah Hardge today to get his, impression. And it sounded like Coach Prime was up there talking again about Isaiah Hardge. I love when he said that a lot of people love the results, but Isaiah loves the process that comes with getting the results that everybody wants. And again, he mentions that he's ultra talented and he puts in the work. The talent plus the work is what gives you greatness. And that's what Isaiah Hardge has. And the fact also, too, at the end there, that he mentions that he could potentially replace some of the production left behind
That's a
by
lot of production.
LaJohntay Wester
Yeah.
and Jimmy Horn Jr. If Coach Prime and Coach Phillips both believe that, that's really all I need to hear. Isaiah Hardge is in for a massive season.
Is it fair to call Isaiah Hardge an X factor?
Absolutely, sure.
It's kind of the way that I see him, like going all the way back to his recruitment. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jake. He was recruited by the previous staff.
He was committed to the program before Darrell was fired. Before Coach Prime was hired. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want this to sound like it's taking anything away from him, but it's almost like Isaiah Hardge is found money.
Literally, yes.
Like it wasn't some big recruiting process to bring him in here and like whatever. He just came in, put his head down, worked, earned the respect of the coaches, and now he's kind of just like this X factor to me, where it's like, if that guy's gonna be really good for you this year, like you're in a really good place, especially at that wide receiver position.
For sure, that's development right there. That's development
for sure.
Coach,
and it's something, by the way, that a lot of people don't think that this staff can do.
Precisely.
True.
Precisely.
Coach J. Phil was also asked about the portal. Obviously, a lot is coming up. We've seen a lot of stuff on Colorado targeting or offering and visiting or bringing wide receivers in on visits from the portal already. So here's what he had to say about the portal.
We're always looking, all right, because we got to keep pressure on these guys because of the way the portal works and the way things are. They're looking. so we have to continue to look too. But I think the main thing is just looking for chemistry guys that fit who we are, that fit our culture. I think the biggest message we've tried to convey to everyone that comes here on a visit is, this is a different place. I mean, our head coach and the things that expectations here are high. This is not a developmental place. So you have to have the right mindset in order to come in here and be counted on, okay? Because the expectations at a whole nother level. Every play here matters. And so that's what we're looking for besides talent. I've been a lot of different places, man. The expectations you don't feel the weight like you feel here. You feel the weight, right? You guys put expectations on us because of our head coach. Our head coach is not a shy guy. He's going to stand here and tell you exactly how he feels. So we all embrace that. We've all had a background, NFL background, where you have to be at your best all the time. And so that's what these kids have to understand. So that's not like that everywhere. Some places they take time to develop guys. We're not in a position like that. We're in a position where we have to win now. Because the expectations are and the things that we say, the stuff we put out there, that's what's expected of us. So we have to do that.
One, I just love that Coach Prime has set the tone that the roster's never finished.
Yeah.
We're never done building this roster. We could have literally one of the best wide receiving groups in the country in terms of returning, young guys coming in as true freshmen. But we're still going to look in that portal, and we're going to look at those top guys and see if they want to come here and live up to the standard that he just talked about.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, because like Coach Phil said, they're going to keep looking because players are looking.
And you never know.
Their representatives are looking and trying to get them a better, option or whatever. Their agents are out there, putting their names out there if they can and whatnot. So that's just the right way to go about it in this day and age of the transfer portal. And I loved how Coach J. Phil mentioned fit, right? When they're looking at the transfer portal, it's not just about if you can play, it's about if you can play and if you can fit what we're trying to do offensively. And that's exactly what I think Joseph Williams, JuJu, is and has been already this spring. And I feel like we kind of dropped the ball a little bit as a media crew, not asking Coach J. Phil specifically about Joseph Williams today. But I think he was kind of talking about him in terms of he's a guy who fits what we're trying to do, fits with our guys. And obviously JoJo's been making hella plays. So I really like where he's headed and that room is headed.
This is a guy who's been everywhere from the Atlanta Falcons to Baylor to the Birmingham Barracudas.
Yeah.
He said, I've been a lot of places. Nowhere else do you feel the weight of the pressure on your shoulders or something along those lines like you do here. That is one of those little micro signs that this is a real football program that they're building right here.
Straight up.
I think those things can be said about Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State and Michigan. That weight of expectation is really real. And I think my favorite part about it all is how unafraid Coach Prime is of that. And therefore the people around him are of that.
You have to be.
Yep.
It's not only accepted, it's embraced and encouraged. Put them on us. Throw all the expectations on us. We want it. We're going to exceed it.
Yep.
100%.
Here's Coach Phil talking about the freshmen. Obviously, 3 of them, and we're expecting big things, and he is as well.
Well, that's a great question, but I really like to see all those guys do that. I mean, we don't bring freshmen in here as you guys do the track record. We don't bring you in here to watch. We don't bring you in here to develop. We bring you in here with the expectation you'll be able to contribute at some point. So I'm excited about the freshmen we have in here, and I can't really pinpoint one guy. I'll just say they're all lumped in the same category. We expect to get something out of those guys this season.
2 years it was Omarion. Last year it was Drelon. Who's it going to be this year?
All of them.
All 3.
All of them get their chance. Because we know how football season works. Injuries happen.
K-State game right there, yeah.
Things happen. And again, if you have different roles, right, which I think Quanell would have a different role than Quentin Gibson would. Those 2 guys would probably have a different role than Adrian Wilson would. Mm-hmm. Depending on, matchups in a certain week, it might be your week. We got a matchup for you. We can really use your speed, in this matchup. Or a guy like Quanell. We want to put 3 big body receivers out there on the field, and maybe their 3rd or 4th cornerback, we know he can guard you. I think all of them are going to get opportunities. And, based on what Jay Phil said about that entire group, and Coach Prime has echoed this before too, we're not recruiting you to watch and to, take 2 years to get your feet under you. No, we're recruiting here because we think you can play and you can play right away. And I feel like all those guys have that capability. And it would just be interesting to see which one of those kind of get the first opportunity and what they do with it.
I'll predict that whoever it is, their first name starts with Q.
That's the one.
There's 2.
Well, Quentin Gibson, I think, is going to be immediately. Week 1, you're going to see him doing stuff. Kind of like Drelon last year, I think.
Yeah, I kind of feel similarly about Quanell, though. And usually we're flipped on that.
I know, right? Yeah.
But he just pops up every day. Every time there's a clip, I'm like, oh, there's who's 14? Oh, yeah, there's 14.
For real.
Last thing from Coach Phil, just talking about Drelon at Pro Day. That was funny. Because you asked him this, right? You asked him, was it cool to see Drelon working out there with Shedeur?
I know where this is going.
Here was his response.
Wasn't cool at all because he was in the backfield, and I don't want to lose him early, either to the pros or to the backfield. So it wasn't cool from that standpoint. But no, it was just to see that what that was basically Shedeur having trust in him. So to your question, to see his maturation, how he got when he first got here as a freshman to where he is now, to where a guy that's a potential first-round draft pick, it believes in him enough to have him be a part of his workout. So that was pretty cool.
Hilarious, man. But that also just tells me that Coach J. Phil knows that Drelon can really get busy out of that backfield. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if he shows a little bit too much, that he might be permanently back in that backfield, running routes and, being a true gadget guy instead of being 100% receiver in his room with Coach J. Phil. But that just speaks, I think, to the relationship that those 2 have and just how special of a talent Drelon is.
No one might be rooting for the Buffs to land a big-time running back transfer in the portal more than Jay Phil.
Exactly. 100%, dog.
Well, we'll play this one from Drelon real quick. Here's Drelon talking about that Pro Day experience. We'll dig in on the other side of the break, too.
So this is crazy. We just had spring break. So I just get to Dallas working out, and I get a call like, we need you to come back over and do Pro Day. I'm like, huh? So, literally 2 days later, I had jumped on a flight, got back out here the week before, and just started training and getting right with them. It boosted me a lot, I would say. It was big, all the scouts out there, and just to experience all of that, and just to be there with those guys, probably my last time on the field with them for a while. So I had a blast with them. I was like, it was so quiet and everybody's so serious. I'm like, let's have some fun, go out there and have a blast. So that was good.
That's got to be the advantage of being so young at an event like that. You're like, oh, I'm just going out there to play football, I'll just catch some passes, do what I do, pretty much.
Bro.
Was he the only person? How many players were running routes? 4?
4 plus him.
Yep.
4 plus him.
The 4 NFL guys and him.
Mm-hmm.
He and Travis are the only one who didn't drop a pass.
That is true.
Yep.
That is true. Right. 0 drops. And I wrote about this today. Y'all go check out my latest on thednvr.com. Make sure you become a diehard. Just talking about Drelon and why he deserves jersey number 1 because it's something that he wants. But it made me think about Coach Prime after the Kansas game. He says that he was asked about Drelon. He goes, the moment is not too big for him. That's what we saw on Friday. Yeah. The entire NFL world watching him run routes and the rest of his teammates watching a true freshman out there running routes, like you just said, 0 drops, running routes out of the backfield, out of the slot, crispy as hell, catching everything.
Over the shoulder.
And then he also mentioned, too, there, he was like, it was quiet, which it was. We were there. It was literally quiet. I was like, damn, this is kind of nerve-wracking.
I think you said that right at the top, right? Like when they started throwing.
Yes.
Why is it so quiet?
And Drelon goes, should I notice that? And I just was asking them, like, what are we doing? Like, let's just have a little fun. Like, let's just have a blast. And that just speaks to what Coach Prime said. The moment is not too big for him, whether it's a game on national television or a pro day with the entire NFL world watching, all 32 NFL teams watching. He was like, oh, yeah, that's what we do. That's what I do. That boy's going to be special, man. He is already special.
Yes.
It's so funny, though, like, because for all of those guys, they're feeling like I'm playing for my future.
It's literally a job interview for them, basically.
Yes. And so they're a little tight, very serious. It's all quiet in there.
Yes.
And I can just imagine being like, what's going on? Why is everyone so serious? Why is it, let's just play football? And like, I wonder if that freed him up a little bit.
Probably.
Yeah,
it probably helped.
All right, let's take our next break. Shout out to the homies over at Fan Steak. Fan Steak is basically giving y'all $25 to invest in the Buffs roster to keep players. We got the portal opening in less than a week, too. Or I think a week, right? Was it the 15th?
Yes, sir. Next week.
Dang. Literally a week from today, the transfer portal will be open. So make sure you're signed up and ready to go on Fan Steak right now. You can already stake players, like Jordan Seaton, like Drelon Miller, who we're going to talk a lot about today. And again, they're offering fans a free $25 credit, no credit card required or strings attached. Let's pick Drelon Miller today. We're encouraging everyone to stake Drelon Miller. Keep him with the Buffs. Go download the app, sign up, and stake him. Click the link in our description, scan the QR code, or just head to fanstake.com. Use promo code DNVR to help keep Drelon Miller with the Buffs.
And shout out to the squad over at Monarch Money, man. Sometimes it's kind of tough keeping track of your money with, all the things that we got to pay for, all the services, the subscriptions that we pay for. But finances, as we know, like I said, can be messy and confusing. But Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. It's more than just your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. Tracking spending your money is important because, like I said, man, there are so many people trying to get into our pockets, and it's hard sometimes to keep track of everything and where all of our bread is going. But Monarch Money is the finance tool that people actually love. It was named Wall Street Journal Best Budgeting App of 2025, and it's the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 5-star reviews. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code DNVR at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at Monarch Money with code DNVR.
Let's have the... Go ahead.
Really quick, just thinking back to the pro day and Drelon being like, why is everyone so serious? I think he said, me and Travis are the only ones smiling. I did say that. That was weird. The first 10 minutes stressed me out.
Yeah.
And it was... I love Shiloh low-key broke the ice when he started clapping and when I'm like, gee, who is clapping? You're like, it's over Shiloh.
I should say the first 10 minutes of the throwing portion.
Right.
Yes.
Because everyone was kind of just out there socializing, having a good time, watching the 40s. And then all of a sudden it's like the main event
That's literally what it was. Yeah.
is beginning. And it's just like
could hear a pin
hush.
drop.
Yep. And meanwhile, Shedeur's throwing these fades just to kind of warm up. And Dre's like 1 of 1. 2 of 2. And I'm like, why am I nervous? I'm nervous that someone's gonna drop one and it's gonna mess up the perfect count that Dre's got going over here. It was that was a very interesting setting.
It was.
Yeah, we do need Bruce Buffer next time to hype everyone up before an event like that, as opposed to everyone getting tense. All right, number 1, the jersey. Coach Prime said you got to be him to earn this thing. Drelon made his case today. Here's Drelon on potentially earning that number 1.
I mean a lot, a whole bunch actually. Because coming out of high school, I wanted one bad. But Coach Prime, you have to earn everything here. And coming out, I knew Tay wanted one, so I was like, okay, I'll probably wait the next year. So, yeah, I just been working to try to earn on one and just get back to my own self.
He's clearly got his sight sets on it.
He knows he got to earn it, too. Mm-hmm. And as I wrote about today, again, on the DNVR.com, he knows he got to earn it because he watched LaJohntay Wester have to earn it. And if LaJohntay Wester had to earn it all the way until Alamo Bowl week, pretty much, and this is somebody who was as consistent as they come on the football field. I'm talking about on-field dominance, what Coach Prime asked for. That's what LaJohntay Wester put on display week in and week out. But that wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
That is not up to the number one Jersey standard. You got to make sure your grades are right, too. You got to make sure you're the consummate teammate, the consummate professional and man in the community. And Drelon checks all those boxes already, still in his freshman year. He should be wearing number one. And I think, obviously, previously I said that I would want Quinn Gibson to have that. But Drelon Miller got to have that right now, especially since he wants it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's where we're at right now. This is a special kid, a special player as well. And if he wants that, he deserves it.
I got to say this. There's legitimate value into Drelon Miller's smile just being in the building.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Like, that is like a true $1 million smile that if you see him, you can't help but be in a better mood.
Right.
We had Reggie Calhoun on a couple weeks ago, and he was like, Drelon is one of those dudes where it's like no matter what he ends up doing, he's going to be great. Whether it's football, whether it's as a father or a businessman, whatever, he is going to figure it out and be great because it's in him. He's destined for it, and you can see it based off his smile, as you said.
I mean, even just the whole thing where he went and gave back to his community.
Yes.
I mean, that's not something you do when you're a freshman.
Dog.
That's just not. That's something you see when a guy, has been stacking it up. And,
right.
Obviously for a long time, you only ever saw that when the guys went to the NFL. Now they're getting paid a little earlier, but you still expect that from an upperclassman at the very least, not a freshman in the very, very beginning. And I heard, just some behind the scenes of that. Like, that was truly 100% his idea. Yeah. Not like someone, this would be a good look or PR or anything. He was just like, I want to do this.
Yep.
Please help me make it happen.
No doubt.
Special, man.
One last thing on that. I'm going to post this after the show, but I found that clip from 2023 Coach Prime in the spring where he was talking about jersey numbers and having to earn it. Coach Prime goes, you have to earn stuff. Nobody's giving you anything. We have kids who haven't played a snap and you want to be number one. You know what number one meant back in the day for us? That you were that one. And that's Drelon Miller.
Yeah.
That one.
I hope he gets it before the season.
So do I.
So we don't have to deal with that whole mess again.
Same.
We've talked a lot about Drelon's role this year.
Wait. Didn't what number did Q wear in high school?
Q was six. Yeah, Q for
so
6.
So Drelon takes 1, then
she gets 6.
Q for 6 is back.
Yep.
Because that 15 he got right now, not cutting it. I ain't gonna lie. He need to get out that 15.
Doesn't look fast enough.
We've talked a lot about Drelon's role this offseason so far. And so we finally got to ask him, what have you been kind of working out at? What are the expectations? Here he is on his role for the offense this season.
My role is to just make plays. Just make the plays that come to me. Just make it to where the quarterbacks trust me, where the running backs trust me to run behind me in the blocking game. So just expand my role and just dominate every play on the field. I feel like it's a big change just because we got so many new pieces, I would say. Just in O-line, quarterback, receivers, running backs. And I just feel like we're coming along great. It was a little rusty at first. We had hit the bump, but, we're climbing over that wall now. So I feel like we're coming together now.
Go ahead.
Bro mentioned blocking and having his running backs running behind him trust him as a blocker.
Yes.
Like, that's just not stuff you hear from a freshman wide receiver.
Nope. Really, any wide receiver.
Or any wide receiver. If you asking him about his role, he's talking about, I want to make sure on my running backs when they're behind me that they trust me as a blocker. That's one-of-one stuff.
But you want to talk about the standard? I could pull you up clips of LaJohntay Wester blocking for a Travis Hunter touchdown, and I can pull you up clips of Travis Hunter blocking for a LaJohntay Wester touchdown.
Yep, swear.
And Jimmy Horn, the same thing.
Yep.
You go on down the list. Will Sheppard, like, those guys took pride in that. And that's how you create a legacy.
They definitely did. A lot of stuff different, obviously, and he mentioned that. I mean, new quarterbacks, it's personnel, of course, but we saw it in glimpses from that scrimmage on Saturday. this offense is not going to look, I think. You'll probably see some stuff, where they'll go 10 personnel, 4 wide, and, maybe run a little hurry up. But that's just not going to be like every down, every drive type of stuff from this offense. So I'm just excited to see. And Drelon obviously didn't share too much there. He's going to be a major piece in how this looks so much different.
Speaking of this offense, we had Brian Baldinger on the show today. Dropped a little gem that about the Buffs that I don't think any of us have ever heard. He said he was talking to Pat Shurmur, and he was like, when I watched this on film, it reminded me a lot of a Chip Kelly offense. And Pat Shurmur told him that's where we got it. So that's kind of an interesting little...
Got what exactly?
A lot of the concepts that they were running.
That's fire.
I mean, I didn't follow up because it was like just part of a long...
Sure. No, that's fire.
Bronco show, but it was just interesting that I had never heard that before. Like, I don't think anyone had said the name Chip Kelly to us.
Facts.
I think what he's mentioning is the quarterback and how mobile he likes his quarterbacks to be and how they do so much. Like, he asks a lot of them. Look at what Will Howard had to do last year for Ohio State. How his role kind of grew throughout the year, not just being a quarterback, but being a guy, who was just there to get the ball to the Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith and all these guys and hand it off to those two backs. But we saw Will Howard really emerge as a runner down the line, especially in the CFP.
Hell yeah.
And then in turn, you saw him the reins kind of let loose, and they were really allowing him to just cut the ball loose and get it downfield.
No doubt, man. They just got to get creative in ways that they get Drelon the football. It can't just be throwing him the football or, even just handing him the football. They got to get real creative.
Snap him the football.
Or snap him the football, for real. Yes. They got to get creative with it.
Speaking of that, Drelon was asked about running the football, and here's what he had to say.
Give me 1 second. Sorry, I downloaded 2 of the same.
Do you have the quarterbacks one then?
Yeah.
All right, here's Drelon on what he's seen from the 2 quarterbacks so far.
Those 2 guys and the rest of the crew, I feel like they are great quarterbacks. They all compete, and I love the way they compete. They help each other. None of them is no type of hate on each other. They all compete well. I can talk to them about anything, any route, any play. So I just love those guys right there.
He is obviously close to Julian. We know this.
Mm-hmm.
They're close in age and all that. But to hear, I think what we saw, what the quarterback said on day 1 of practice, they're not really treating it as a competition at this point. It's really collaborative, it seems. And to have one of your best wide receivers say that, I think that kind of proves that.
You need that. And it's crazy to think about, the job they did to get these guys both here.
Yeah.
And it really should be commended, because all we talked about for the last 2 years is it's going to be really hard to find a good backup quarterback in the portal because everyone knows that they don't have a starting opportunity. Now, that's a little different this year because there's an opening. And even, after Julian committed here, you can still, if you're Kaidon Salter, feel like you have the opportunity to take that job. But still, to be able to get both guys takes a lot of management.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they're, working well together and kind of getting an iron sharpens iron effect going is really big.
Yep.
Because what if they didn't land one of them? We'd be nervous either way.
Yeah,
if we
for
just
sure.
landed JuJu, we'd be like, we all think this guy's really talented, but are we sure he's going to be ready to go as a freshman?
Mm-hmm.
Or if it was just Kaidon, we think this guy's really talented, but are we sure he's ready for the jump up? You know what I'm saying? And if there wasn't the buffer of the other guy, this would be kind of a pretty nervy situation here at quarterback. And it goes back to what I've talked about. Coach Prime deserves credit for consistently allowing this fan base to feel comfortable about the most important position on the football field, which is quarterback. His entire tenure here at Colorado, the quarterback position has really not been an issue. And I don't think this year is going to be any different. So that's cool. And another thing I find interesting is that we're 10 practices through spring here, and not one player or coach has said one thing that has made any of us be like, oh, that guy's probably got the edge now.
Mm-hmm.
Either one of them.
Yeah.
Everybody, whenever they're asked about this quarterback situation, they've given the diplomatic answers like, hey, it's neck and neck, they're working. And I think that's partly because this is a media-trained group, but also because the boys are competing.
No, that's just
they're
how
neck
it
and
is.
neck right now, kind of what we talked about yesterday.
I'll take it one step further. Off the record conversations we have about the quarterback competition, they say the same thing.
Yeah.
It's really close.
Facts.
Julian looks good, but you can't pick right now
Yeah.
in terms of a true standout.
Good problem to have.
And just to speak to the collaborative nature that we're hearing about between those two, because it's topical today. The opposite was true of Michael Malone and Calvin Booth.
Facts.
And they were telling some of the stories on the Nuggets podcast today, and like they were really like working against each other because they didn't see eye to eye. What happened? They both lost.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so it takes a lot of maturity and putting your ego aside to work with someone. But in the end, you'll both be better for it. And, I'll knock on wood, but like you really hope that no one gets hurt.
Right.
There's a very good chance that you're going to need the other guy to help you at some point because you're not able to.
Right.
And building that relationship now, knowing that one of us is going to probably help the team more than the other, but there's a very good chance that we're going to need the other one at some point. Yeah. And so I want that for the team. Let's work together.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Last clip from today. So here's Drelon. He was asked about running the football, and the end of this clip is probably, I think, my favorite part from today.
Most definitely. Just put me back there. I'll be happy. As long as I got the ball in my hands, I'm going to have a smile on my face. So put me anywhere on the field, I'll make something happen. And, just trusting the running backs and blocking for them. Hopefully I get a couple pancakes this year.
So definitely running the ball, he said. Always going to have that smile just with the balls in his hands. But he wants to flatten some DBs out there on the perimeter this season.
He's going to, too.
He will.
Because that boy getting swole, I ain't going to lie.
He flattened someone last year. It was just with a juke move.
Yeah. For real, though. For real. That guy had the first 2 touches of the season.
Yep.
As a true freshman.
Pretty crazy with the Heisman winner on the football team.
Crazy, dog.
That was it from practice. We'll be back up there on Thursday.
Yeah.
A couple things to hit on, though, before we get to the chat today. We had a quarterback visiting yesterday.
Brody
McCorder, the quarterback.
Trigger warning for me before you say that.
Why?
Because it makes me think of Russell Westbrook.
Quarterback from Cass High School in Cartersville, Georgia. Ranked a 3-star on 247, but a 4-star on Rivals. He put out a top 5 or 6 recently. CU was in there. He came on this visit. He's supposed to commit, I think, relatively soon, too. So he's obviously interested. The staff's interested. We'll see.
Yeah.
I like this kid a lot, man. Obviously, the program is also in on Oscar Rios, the other 2026 quarterback, and I like him as well. But I think Brody is just a little different, man, in terms of the way he throws the football. I'm trying to find his announcement. Yeah, he's picking on May 15th.
Yep. So a little bit more than a month.
Yeah. Did you name the 5 schools he's considering?
No, I know some of them. But.
Yeah, Wisconsin, Auburn, Indiana, Mississippi State. So solid group.
Yeah.
Be a great ad, obviously, for that.
Auburn and Indiana?
I did, both of them.
2 schools.
Sounds like Julian Lewis.
Missed out on Julian last year.
So that'll be interesting.
I'm still getting used to this big time football thing where you recruit a big name quarterback every year.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, man, I put a lot of emotional energy into us getting Julian Lewis. Now we just got to start all over again and go after another big name quarterback.
I feel like there are a lot of people out there like that. Like, why are they talking about a quarterback?
Yeah.
We have Julian Lewis. There are probably a lot of people out there like that. But
go look at the roster of Alabama, Georgia,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Ohio State, Michigan. They've got 5-star quarterback, 4-star, high 4-star quarterback every single year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The fans at Ohio State and Georgia and Alabama, they're not questioning it. They're expecting to hear about the next 5/4-star that's coming to campus.
I think there are some coaches who do it every other year, more predominantly, and maybe they take a guy, but it's not as much of like a courting, if you will. But even then, like it is pretty funny. Like you just got to have one. You got to keep going. And
period.
The truth is, it's not like the NFL. The NFL, like you got to have one. And you keep trying until you hit on that one, but you can only really have one really good one at a time or one high paid one at a time. In college, you can just get as many darts as you can possibly
Facts.
throw at that board to hit a bullseye. And obviously, all of us are really confident in Julian being a bullseye. But when your job's on the line,
Can never be too sure.
you got to have insurance. And so you just keep on bringing in guys. And again, it's the old adage, like it's my job to recruit a better player than you.
Yep.
It's your job to not allow that to happen.
Hell yeah.
Portal's starting to pick up. We all think cornerback is going to be a pretty big position of need. 2 guys have entered the portal who are pretty notable that I'd say keep an eye on. Tavoy Fegan was a Clemson Tiger. He was a 4-star player in the 2024 recruiting class, only played in 2 games. Didn't really see the field last year as a true freshman, but was a top 300 player. He has entered the portal. He's got 4 years of eligibility remaining and held 52 offers coming out of high school.
Wow.
Next guy.
Again, that sounds like, just from a background standpoint, a freshman who played in just sparingly. It sounds like a Colton Hood. That sounds like a Makari
DJ
Vickers,
McKinney,
a DJ McKinney, right? So it's kind of the frame that they're targeting specifically at that cornerback spot, which I like.
This guy's got a little bit more experience. LJ Green was a starter for Troy last year. He has entered the portal. Played in all 12 games last year, had 27 tackles, 2 TFLs, but also had 2 interceptions and 6 passes defensed. Little on the smaller side, though.
I was literally going to ask you how tall he is.
I don't know if this is a true target for CU. 5'10", 170 is what he's listed at.
We know Coach Prime, like his corner's 6 foot plus.
Well, Tavoy Fegan's listed at 6 foot 185, so maybe the Clemson guy is more of a fit, but LJ Green does have more experience.
Yeah.
We'll keep tabs on that. All right, to draft stuff. Jordan Schultz reported right before we went live, actually, that Shedeur Sanders is going to be visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers, a name that we kind of brought up. But I guess the hottest name right now, the New Orleans Saints, Mel Kiper, had Shedeur Sanders falling to 9th overall and being selected by the New Orleans Saints. And once again, he had Cam Ward at 1st overall, but on the blurb for Shedeur Sanders, he says this is my #1 rated quarterback. So
The Steelers thing is interesting. I mean, Shedeur with Mike Tomlin,
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
that's dangerous. And I mean, this was kind of what we've been talking about, where it's like, no one wants to see Shedeur fall because we all believe that he deserves to go incredibly high in this draft. You let him fall to Mike Tomlin and the Steelers in an organization that's a pillar of the NFL like that. Things are gonna happen.
And as Mr. Support Friend says in the comments, the Steelers pick at 21 overall. Wouldn't that be like prophetic?
21. I love the Mike Tomlin and Shedeur Sanders potential marriage. Just don't love their offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith. And I don't think that he would mesh well with the Shedeur Sanders. And that has more to do with Arthur Smith than the Shedeur Sanders. So I don't love it.
Well,
honestly.
Shedeur can just keep the train going of a new offensive coordinator every year and get a new one next year.
Yeah. They mess around and bring Shermer up or something. I don't know.
Ready for the Toyota chat?
Sure.
Chatsky.
By the way, I talked about a Shedeur Sanders Saints jersey. Shedeur Sanders Steelers jersey would also go very hard.
That black one?
Yeah, but
For sure.
I couldn't wear a Steelers jersey.
I could for sure.
Which, you don't like the Steelers either, bro?
No, bro.
In fact, if anyone has a Cordell Stewart
What?
Steelers jersey, I'll take it off your hands if you don't want
Why
it.
don't you like the Steelers, bro? What's your thing with the Steelers?
Steelers, and I believe the Broncos have played the Steelers in more playoff games than any other team.
Is that the reason why?
I just never liked them. They broke my heart in 2005, first off.
No,
And just
Scotty was just being born.
yeah.
What happened in 05?
The Broncos lost in the AFC title game to the to the 6th seed Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
They lost at home.
Was that Big Ben's rookie year?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
At least y'all lost to the champs.
That does not make me feel better. I was
Makes me feel a
so
little better.
I mean, it usually does.
no, bro. I was so convinced that team was going to go all the way when I was 13 years old or whatever.
Yeah, I feel where you're coming from, but jersey would still go really hard.
It would, but Michael in the chat says, watching live from Johannesburg, South Africa. Question: will
Crazy.
Coach Prime continue with the sideline walk with the new quarterback before every game, every match? Can't wait for week 1. The trilogy continues. That's a good question. I don't think any of us could truly answer that right now.
I think no. If I had
Really?
to predict. Yeah. What do you think? The whole point of it was, in Folsom, going south, I'm your dad. Going north, I'm your coach.
Yeah.
That part would obviously be lost. Maybe then they just go one way. So it was a 100-yard walk instead of a 200-yard walk.
Just seems like a father-son thing, man. And obviously they had been doing it, dating back to when Shedeur was in high school, and probably even before then. So I'd be a bit surprised if he did it week 1 with Kaidon Salter,
I get it,
Julian
though,
Lewis
but
even.
also 3 minutes before kickoff, Coach Prime is going to instinctively walk down to the pylon, and he's probably just going to be like, Kaidon, come on. You know what I
That
mean?
would be hilarious. I could see that too, no doubt. I could see that.
I'm sure he's gonna have a moment with the quarterback before the game, but I think it would probably be more like on the sidelines, like
Sure.
Jim
Jim
fists
Harbaugh.
on the shoulder pads, like, hey, let's go, lock in.
What's up, Ivan? He says, serious question. Which of the DNVR squad members can take down the JB challenge at Saucy Southerns?
What is it?
What is it? I saw the video went out. I didn't watch it, though.
Never heard of it.
So we got to get you to Saucy's first off. But
That's true.
let us know in the chat, and we'll get back to it. What's up, Kev? Says, love the show as always. No crashing out today. I come in peace. We appreciate
What a
you
beautiful
always, Kev.
Oh no!
He says, I wasn't going to crash out, but since you asked.
Who asked, Kev? Who asked?
I've had enough of these Travis Hunter doubters. You keep saying what he can't do in the NFL. The more you say what he can't do, the more he does it. Facts.
Facts,
Don't
fair.
put limits on that guy.
Big facts. I'm excited. I can't believe I have Travis Hunter receipts. Like I have so many Shedeur, but I have some Travis Hunter receipts in the wallet now too.
I do think he's in a great spot. Travis is, because obviously he's going 2 or 3 in the draft. I think Kevin Stefanski and Brian Daboll as head coach / offensive play callers would be ideal fits for Travis and maximizing, what he can do on a football field.
You have to be an awful coach to mess up Travis Hunter, honestly.
Yeah.
You're literally getting handed just a unicorn, someone that can do kind of whatever you want, whatever you need to do. If you mess that up, that is 100% on you.
Yeah.
It's true.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared someone's gonna mess it up.
Somebody could, bro. Somebody could. But
And you're
like I
still
said,
gonna Travis is still gonna ball,
right.
but you're just not going to be able. There's a chance that he doesn't get maximized.
Well, this is why I always thought the Patriots would be the best fit for him, because you have a player, a coach who was he kind of did play both ways. Obviously not to Travis's level, we
that's
all
true.
know. But he just played the game for so long that I feel like it's like Coach Prime. Like he'd be so much more willing and just easier for him to relate to Travis just as a player. You know what I mean? Like doesn't have to go into the whole stamina thing. It's like one of those things where if this did happen potentially, Vrabel could just look at Travis, see how he's walking, and be like, okay, he's got to come out for a little bit, or see him on the sideline jumping around, all right, get Trav in right now, type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just have such a sour taste in my mouth about what they did to Gerard Mayo that I feel like the Patriots don't deserve Travis Hunter.
That's
Who's
fair
their
enough.
OC now? Do you know?
I can find out for you. But they
That'll
have
be
a need at
interesting.
wide receiver and corner.
Yep.
No
Well,
doubt.
not even corner. They just signed Carlton
CB2,
Davis.
yeah.
Well, they just signed Carlton Davis. They've got Gonzo there too.
Yep.
Perfect for Travis. Throw him in at the
Float.
nickel every now and then,
Yep.
or float. Yeah, whatever.
Girls Club asks, with these recent reports, will Scotty roll back his Shedeur to the Browns take? Absolutely not. I feel more invigorated by it. I'm not even gonna lie. And these are the best predictions to have, bro, when nobody believes them but you.
It's facts.
This is the best predictions to have. So I'm definitely riding until the wheels fall off.
You'll never guess who the Patriots offensive coordinator is. You'll never guess.
Well, then tell us. We'll never guess.
Josh McDaniels.
Oh
I did know that. Yeah, see, no, I don't want him there. But-
God,
Yuck.
maybe my least favorite figure in NFL history.
Can't stand the guy. I call him a name that is not safe for this platform right now. All right, last super chat, then we'll get out of here. Dom Peasy.
Let's hit this overtime real fast.
All right, we're going to overtime. If you're watching on your television, head on over to thednvr.com. Dom Peasy with the super chat says, I may or may not drop a tear if Prime takes that pregame walk by himself with his arm around air like Shedeur was there.
You can't do that, bro.
He would not do that. I don't think Coach would do that.
Bro would go triple, quadruple platinum on social media. if
That's
that
true.
happened.
Oh, bro.
Or he's like holding a Shedeur jersey.
That would be insane, dog.
I'm not going to say it, bro. I can't say my...
Say it, bro.
No.
You don't say it.
Do you know what I call him? Do you
I
remember?
have a feeling.
All right.
Bro, look, he had another development in the Browns to Shedeur to the Browns thing since
boy.
Girls
Here
Club
we
got
go.
me on it. Obviously, we knew, or I brought it up yesterday or last week when we debated that Pat Shurmur, Kevin Stefanski was Pat Shurmur's quarterback coach, back in Minnesota back in the day. Mm-hmm. Bill Musgrave is obviously the Browns' new quarterback coach, who obviously has a great relationship with Coach Prime. But Bill Musgrave was also Pat Shurmur's quarterback coach back in the day in Philly. So there is a lot of intertwining among this as well. And when Pat Shurmur left to become the head coach of the Giants, he wanted to bring Kevin Stefanski with him to New York. But he was blocked by who? Mike Zimmer.
Wow.
Just a lot of, like I said, intertwining names between the Sanders family and what Cleveland got going on right now with the Browns that I just can't get that out of my mind. Shedeur Cleveland too. I just can't get it out of my mind. They gonna have to turn in the car to somebody else's name before I let that go. I ain't gonna lie.
You know what state Bill Musgrave is from?
Colorado?
Colorado.
Wow. A lot of dots.
It's crazy how you can say all that, but none of it matters when the owner just does what he wants constantly.
I think the owner likes Shedeur, though. I think the one who might not want him is maybe Andrew Berry. I think Stefanski's definitely in on him.
What makes you say that?
I think Berry wants Travis.
I think so, too.
Right. I think
Especially after Friday.
I think Travis would be Andrew Berry's preference. But I think Stefanski wants Shedeur, and I think we'll see, what role
All right,
Big
you guys
has
can
in
hash
place.
this out. Okay.
There's nothing else to say.
We're good. I just wanted to throw it in.
I keep thinking to the moment when we're live for the draft.
Same, bro.
And the first overall pick is turned in.
And my palms
those
are instantly
10 minutes-
sweaty as
Those
hell.
10 minutes when the Browns are on the clock, man.
It's going to be insane, dog.
Someone remind me that I want to bring a bell. So I can go, ding, ding, ding.
It's going to be fun. Anything else today?
That's it.
That is it. We'll be back tomorrow. Practice again on Thursday. We will speak to the last of the coaches we haven't heard from. Coach Mathis, Coach Bartoloni, and then interesting player choice.
Oh, yeah.
Zy Chrysler.
Dog.
All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.